kind of avoided talking about it because it kind of gets personal and involves me talking ill about some people. I can kind of give you a summary. I was around 21 years old. I wasn't really doing anything with my life. I was just pretty much just sitting around playing Minecraft for like 24 hours a day. Finally, I decided it was time to get off my butt and do something. So there was this local upholstery shop that was hiring. So I was like, I'll just do that. Started out at $7.25 an hour. So I was making about $200 a week, but I had never had like a real job. I was like, $200 a week, I'm good with that at 21 years old. So the guy there, he taught me the basics. Started out doing restaurant booths. Some days I would sew like 30 booths, so I'd just be spending all day sewing up booths. So you really kind of have to get the sewing down if you're doing that much sewing. It's a great way to just get started with the basics of sewing, keeping the line straight and making the two curves. Practice doing that constantly. You really get it down quick. So after I got good at sewing up booths and I was just zooming through, started upgrading to bigger projects. You know, I would learn how to staple on the booths, which are very simple. Doing like simple boat seats, bottoms, a little more curves, you know. And then it got to the point where I was doing full projects by myself. Quality was really good because I took pride in it and I enjoyed it. I was like, man, I'm doing all this work. It would be nice if I could get a little bit more money. Eventually I got up to $8 an hour. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to cut it. But ended up negotiating. If I'm doing these full projects, maybe I could get 50% of the labor. Once he agreed to that, I started going crazy working, and I went from making 200 a week to some weeks I'd be getting 1,000, and it was a huge change. And I was like, this is crazy. I've never seen this amount of money. I remember saving up my first $1,000 in my checking account. I had never seen that type of money in my life. We had a lot of happy customers. I was making all the money I could ever want, but the business wasn't making the best financial decisions. And by this time, my wife was trying to get me to quit, and she was like, you're doing all this work. You don't even need to work for anybody. You can do it yourself. And I was like, I can't. I don't know how to run a business. I'm not a social person. I don't know how to talk to people. I don't know how to sell myself. But my wife, she was like, your work speaks for itself. There's no me going door to door saying, hey, can I recover some cushions for you? I would have stuck it out. But like I said, the business was facing some financial issues, so he wanted to get me on a salary of $500 a week. That was just not reasonable to me. I was trying to start a family, and I had already gotten used to the money I was making. It wasn't going to work for me, especially when I knew that I could make that off of just one job, doing it by myself out of my garage. But by this time, I had already saved up some money and bought a sewing machine, and I was kind of doing side projects for like friends, and family member got me a job doing some chairs at a hotel. And then not having to split the profit, I would just make a whole lot more money here doing it this way. So I quit, left the keys on the desk, started posting some of my work on social media, and it worked. People saw it and they're like, can you give me a quote on mine? And once I gave them a quote, they were like, that's crazy. My first boat I think I did the entire boat for like $1,800. I just wanted to make some money. I was like, I know I can get this boat done in a week. Subtract the material, I'd be making $1,000 in a week. If you were a customer in my early years, you got a great deal. So I was working out of my townhouse garage. If I had a boat, I would take it over to my parents' house and leave it at my parents' house. But I do owe a lot of it to my wife, because if it weren't for her, I would have just taken the 500 a week. She was like, you have to know your worth. You have to know your worth. You have so much potential. So she just kept pushing me. And when we first started, I was like very down on myself. I was like, I just can't do this. I just can't do this. I don't know how to talk to people. What do I say to them? I think about that now, and I'm like, why was I like that? But my wife, she just picked up all the slack. She would talk to customers. She figured out how to get the business license. She got in contact with my supplier, because you have to have a license to order. And eventually we found this shop in Talladega, because I was like, I can't keep doing this out of this garage, this small garage. A lot of people want to bring their stuff to a shop instead of a house. My wife's dad actually found it. He was like, there's a shop right off the main road, off of Renfro Road, that you ought to look at. It was perfect for starting out. Right off the lake, put a sign up, people would see it. So we got it, and then the rest is kind of history. Kept posting more on social media. People saw the work. People want to get their boats done. I don't look at competition. I really just price things based on making an honest living, a decent living. I'm not trying to price gouge anybody, but I also had to learn not to sell myself short as well. And my wife has helped me a lot with that. All I like to say, you don't really need to start at a shop to get started. You got to save up some money, buy a sewing machine, practice sewing on scrap vinyl. I'll kind of show you. I'm going to cut a strip out and kind of show you just what I did at the beginning. So it's kind of like a restaurant booth. It's a little smaller. This is just all I did. You got your straight edge, got your restaurant booth, side. I would just do this like 100 times a day. Make that curve. Straight, so straight. Get to this curve. Keep this piece straight. Kind of let it glide through your hand. Turn this piece. And it is hard starting out, especially keeping it straight. But if you just get a bunch of scrap, and even if you got your blade and just took this seam apart and just kept sewing it and just doing it repetition over and over again, you can eventually get to the point where straight lines and curves aren't an issue for you. And then you can get to the point where you start doing like smaller things like cushions that just require an edge like this. Maybe find some raggedy cushion somewhere, take the old cover off, and practice stapling on them. Just pull it down, stapling around. Once you get that basic part down, just this, you can start slowly upgrading to more complicated things. Eventually you can get to the point where you can cover almost anything. So I think I about covered everything. There's a few things I left out, but we don't have to get into all that. It got dicey there for a little bit.